championship. Softball back in our lives again. Very excited for Bedlam later today. But before that, Aaron, we get to see one more game for Texas before the postseason. One more case for this Longhorns team to stake its claim to being one of those 16 national seeds and potentially hosting a regional.
Yeah, I think that's the angle of this matchup, is you've got one more shot to make a statement. We're entering into that Selection Sunday tomorrow, and they've got one chance to make a case for their run as they're seeded into the postseason tournament.
We're so close to making it to the Big 12 championship. The loss to Oklahoma State yesterday knocks them to the third place game, and they will send Molly Jacobson, the left-hander, into the circle.
Yeah, Molly Jacobson, a transfer from Ole Miss, has stepped into this program and made waves. A lot of leadership in the circle. She'll stay low in the zone from that left side. Curve on both sides of the plate, that very deceptive drop and change.
Sammy Ward, the first-year Texas Tech head coach, as this starting lineup, a mixture of youth and veterans. She's been playing some more freshmen during the Big 12 tournament, but this will be the final game for the seniors, including sixth-year senior Carly Hamilton, Texas Tech's fourth All-American, beg your pardon, in program history. It'll be Heaven Burton, the senior, to lead off against Jacobson and drop down a bunt, and Burton is aboard safely. What a way to start for Texas Tech. Jacobson is pointing to the ground right now. I wonder if the question is, where did Burton make contact with the ball? Was she in the batter's box or not? Let's take a look.
Yeah, that's exactly the conversation here, and from that angle it looks like both feet definitely in the box. The discrepancy is the line, right? If your foot is over the line, on top of it, that all has to come from that umpire behind the plate. It's a tough position to be, Kevin, to call balls and strikes, to keep your eye on the feet path of the slapper. Quite a bit to pay attention to. And I think it's clean. Both feet in the box.
Now, did the ball hit the bat again? Did it bounce up? And I don't think it did once she had made contact with it.
Yeah, that would be the only other conversation right there. I think the footwork was clean. It's if that double hit on the bat from the bunt did indeed happen, but she'll stay at first.
Umpires got together quickly. Kaylee Young is behind the plate today, and it is a bunt single for Burton. 216th career hit. That breaks what was a three-way tie for third in Texas Tech history. Now a bunt shown by Abby Orrick. Burton takes off for second, and she is in around the throw from Taylor Ellsworth. So a bunt single and a steal to jumpstart the day.
Well, that is her 18th stolen base. So much speed, and what was a close play. Take a look at this. I think that could have gone either way. To the naked eye, I can see how that could go either safe or out.
And there is no replay here. The SEC tournament instituted replay this year, centralized replay out of Birmingham. We're not having that for the postseason elsewhere. We're not going to have that for the national postseason, which I do hope will change soon. It's been used well in the SEC. Orrick with a bunt foul, and it's 2-2.
Well, take a look at this tag one more time. Get one more look at if the foot reached before the tag. And I'm going to say that she was out.
I think so. I think you're right on that. Second base umpire Danny Bowman missed it.
Just the positioning of being behind that tag, behind the runner, right off the ankle.
Still 2-2 for Abby Orrick, who's going to try to walk this thing off. Texas Tech assistant coach, Sammy Ward's husband Randy, the associate head coach, in from third.
Right off the back foot there. And we have seen quite a bit of that this tournament. The inside part of the plate fouling off right on the handle into the thigh, the ankle, the knee.
Where do you least want to get hit there? What's the most painful?
Ankle, top of the foot is painful, yes. Nowhere would be my choice, but if I had to pick somewhere, not those places.
Something a little more fleshy, maybe. 2-2. Auric gets her bat on it to third. And Camille Corona's throw is not in time. She looked back Burton too long. And Texas Tech has 2 on to start the game.
It's great base running here to try and steal the focus of Corona at third base. Burton at second, trying to bait the throw, and that allows extra time for Auric to get safely through first.
Fielder's choice is the call. Now Hamilton and a short right field, and that is caught by J.J. Smith. We saw a full day yesterday of outfielders fighting the sun, which is not a factor now, and the wind, which might well be again. Smith is in right field today after playing first yesterday. Caitlin Washington's first start of the tournament in center. Corona, a little bit used this year, but has played 5 straight games now, 6 straight at third the last couple of weekends. And Janae Jefferson, the All-American, on your screen, gets another start at second base. So here's Maddie Westmoreland, and Westmoreland is drilled by the pitch from Jacobson. Only the 6th hit batter this season against Jacobson, and Texas Tech painfully loads the bases.
Well, this is that curveball out of the hand of Jacobson. You see it slips out of the hand on that late break. A combo of stomach, maybe that back forearm.
Maddie Westmoreland, the junior, hit by her first pitch of the year. And the bases are loaded up for Peyton Jackson. So what an opportunity for Texas Tech, the 6th seed. Jackson takes a first pitch strike. Sophomore Peyton Jackson, only her 8th start this season, 7 for 21, 3 walks. Sammy Ward has really cycled through her roster in these 3 games. A lot of little used players that have started. Heaven Burton, who is second on the team in average and hits and runs, only her first start of the tournament. Sammy Ward's philosophy has been, look, this is our last series of the year, not making the NCAA tournament. Let's throw everybody in there. Let's see how the young players respond in tournament play.
You know, Kevin, this type of situation right here, bases loaded, 1 out. This is the type of action we've seen all tournament. Some crazy softball within Big 12 just this weekend. We've seen extra inning games. We've seen clutch home runs, costly errors, gutsy pitching performances just across the board. When you get to this point in the season, throw out the stat book. Like, anything can happen. We've seen it. We've seen dramatic finishes. And already Molly Jacobson getting tested here in the top of the first.
And Jackson sends it in the air to left field. Burke is there. And that is going to be deep enough for Burton with her great speed to tag up and score. A fly ball into fairly shallow left is enough to get it done. Heaven Burton races home. The runners behind her take a base as well.
Take a look. This one goes opposite field. The question, is it deep enough? She does tag and go. And we will see. It does look very close.
Like a sprinter coming out of the gate with her head down there on the signal from Ryan Ward as Zoe Jones takes strike 1. Well, we think Burton was out at second on the stolen base try, but bunts single, steal, gets to third on a hit by pitch and scores on a shallow sac fly. Texas Tech uses speed to his advantage for the game's first run. Junior Zoe Jones has started almost every game for Tech this year. .311 on base percentage, couple of home runs. Just 1 for her last 34 after a good start. So many strikeouts, Aaron. The stuff is pretty good for the Texas Tech lefty.
Yeah, you see almost 120 innings on the year. To me, the success relies on the off speed. You can see on that scouting report, off speed is absolutely the equalizer when you get to this point in the season. You've got to be able to pull the string and change speeds, and she does that very well.
And she'll face this Mike White lineup. 6 lefties in the lineup, including Caitlin Washington, who is 1 away from setting the all-time doubles record at UT. Janae Jefferson to lead it off. No Shannon Rhodes in the starting lineup for Texas today. And Rhodes is available if need be off the bench, we're told. Just a little bit dinged up from yesterday. Got hit by a pitch, has an elbow contusion. So Zook, the right-hander, in there to Jefferson for a first pitch, strike 1.
Well, you see without Rhodes there, you've got the opportunity for Caitlin Washington to step into the starting 9. A lefty swinger now at the bottom of the order for Texas.
Good depth on this Texas team, and it all starts with Jefferson. 3 more hits yesterday, 6 over the weekend against Baylor. A Texas record 258. Mike White referred to her in our call as Robo Bat because it feels like she's an automatic hit when she gets up there. 438 with a 481 on base.
Janae Jefferson, one of the most consistent leadoffs in the nation. You look at her numbers. 438, triple threat.
Gonna lay down a bunt on 3-1, and she will beat it out easily. Jefferson with a bunt single after Tech started its first inning with a bunt single from Burton.
Okay, you know that she's fast, right? But pay attention to this. She bunts this ball and then looks at it, turns around, looks at it, makes sure it doesn't hit her, and is still another step and a half past the bag before the throw is received. Take a look at that. She almost breaks the neck there to see where that ball lands.
Aaron, it's like Usain Bolt in the middle of a 100-meter race looking over his shoulder at his competitors. She is amazing, Janae Jefferson. Her 64th hit of the year, 44 starts. Now Mackenzie Parker, and strike 1 fouled away. Parker up to the 2 spot today. Snapped a 6-game hitless streak against Iowa State last night. Went 2 for 3 with a home run and drove in 3 runs in that game. Parker in the air to right field. She's out in front and yanks it foul.
You know, the other thing I think of, Kevin, when I look at this starting 9 is that Caitlin Washington getting this start with the absence of Rhodes is now the lone senior in this starting 9. A senior in what could be her last Big 12 championship gets the start. Yes, it comes down to an injury, but things happen, right? Things shake up in the game. You've got to be able to fill those holes, and the senior gets her shot at a starting spot in this 9.
3-2 for Parker. Jefferson's on the run, and the throw's not caught. A good throw, and Jefferson would have been out, but she picks up a steal.
Really good jump, quality, aggressive jump off first base. And you're right, Kevin, had that ball been gloved, I think that out would have been made.
Actually, don't think it was that bad a throw. Just a ball that Love missed, and now a walk for Parker, and it's first and second, nobody out. Here is the Texas Tech defense. Alana Barraza gets her first start of the tournament in the middle infield with Love, who has played very well this year. her freshman year at shortstop, an all Big 12 performer. Burton, Hamilton, and Jackson around the way. You just saw the arm of Kelsey Leach, a good young catcher. So Lauren Burke, everybody's trying to bunt. Burke knocks it foul. Had a great day yesterday, Burke. 4 hits against Oklahoma State, 5 for 8 in the 2 games. And she went up swinging at everything. 8 at-bats. She only saw 21 pitches across the day. Well, you said in the opener, and the off speed is the equalizer for Zoke, and we get a taste of it there on strike 2 to Burke.
So well located. Not just the ability to throw it, but to spot it.
Senior began her career at DePaul. 2-time first team all Big East pitcher there. 136th career game today. That one's hit into right field by Burke. High and deep, but playable for the right fielder Jackson. Nicely done by Jackson, and Jefferson has to retreat to second base. She didn't tag up, so it's first and second, 1 out.
So this just comes down to base running. This is having an idea of where and how deep this ball is hit. Jefferson should have been creeping out on second base to know, okay, I've got to tag up and take off. This is just part of that base running, decision making, understanding how to position yourself to take the extra 60 feet. Jefferson has the speed, right? It's not a matter of if she can leg it out. She's got the wheels to grab an extra bag right there.
Texas did that, I think, 4 times in the game we saw against Oklahoma State yesterday, too. They were great at taking the extra base. Now Jefferson's going to try to take third, and she will go right back to second with nobody covering there. Just trying to draw something from the Texas Tech defense.
Yeah, definitely trying just to draw that throw. So see where Jefferson is. She's creeping out. She's creeping out. She's waiting for that ball to possibly leave the yard or bounce off the fence. I can see this both ways, because if that ball does indeed get down, she's able to go all the way to home.
Two and one now for Taylor Ellsworth. Had herself a day yesterday. Drove in both runs against Oklahoma State. She was 3 for 4 in that game with a walk. 0 for 3 against Iowa State, but 3 for 7 with a walk on the day. Second on the team in doubles with 8. Third with 7 home runs. Third in slugging percentage. And ahead in the count here, 3-1 against Missy Zoke.
You know, when you look back on game 1 with Texas and OSU, it was Ellsworth that was clutch at the plate. 3 singles, just hard shots through the infield that resulted in RBIs.
Been big in these spots all season, and this one is caught at third, and it's a double play. Hit on a line right to Orick, and she doubles off Jefferson. Texas teams right now, Aaron, and I know that's a loaded question because they all have to play today, but as we enter the final day of the season, what separates those 4 in your mind?
Well, you know, in the conversations we've had, Kevin, it comes down to that list of what that NCAA committee is looking for.
So there's a base hit in the center for Barraza.
You know, so much of it has that asterisk next to it, right? This has still been a unique season, even though it's been a full season with the impact of COVID. Scheduling was affected. You've got lost games due to weather, the crazy winter storm that came through Texas that robbed 10 games from Texas. 3 of those were big time RPI matchups. Arizona, 2 games against Alabama, a good North Texas team that they lost a game to.
Here's a bunt from Leach, the Texas Tech catcher, and she's out. Corona was able to just muscle that throw in time to first as Barraza takes second base on the sacrifice.
Very good defensive play. Almost had a communication issue there, but Corona came up even with the hesitation to grab that out at first. But I want to button up our conversation, Kevin, because I think a lot of the hubbub right now is around that strength of schedule with Oklahoma. Even though their record and their numbers make a case for where they should be seated, a lot of the scheduling, a lot of that opponent as far as RPI goes out of the control of the coaching staff. You lose the ability to compete in the Mary Nutter against potentially some Pac or SEC teams. That's mostly where OU faces those high RPI ranking opponents. And so a lot of the RPI discussion is out of these coaches' hands. So at what point does the NCAA committee go, okay, you know, sometimes you got to look at how these teams perform at the end of season, which is what you're seeing now. So we've had crazy games in this Big 12 tournament.
Batter is Riley Love, who muscles one too short, and that's caught by Parker, 2 down. And I think that's something worth getting back to in our Big 12 championship game later. I'll say this, I certainly hear your point on the RPI. The SEC teams are going to say, well, we did play the games, give us credit. I think Oklahoma, if they win today, if they beat Oklahoma State, I'm not on the committee, surprise to no one. To me, if they beat Oklahoma State, you go 6-1 against OSU Texas, they would be my 2 seed behind UCLA with their 4 losses and their great RPI. But we will see, and we will see what happens in the Florida-Alabama SEC Championship Game 2. Again, that's on ESPN2. That's going to follow our game at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. So a back-to-back Big 12 SEC Championship Saturday on ESPN2. Heaven Burton with a swing and a miss. 1-1 from Molly Jacobson. Texas Tech with a first inning run scored by Heaven Burton, who led off with a bunt single and eventually scored on a Peyton Jackson sacrifice fly. And strike 2.
You know, Kevin, I even look back at
in case for the number 5 overall seed right now. They and Arkansas, probably the 2 teams most likely to get the 5 or 6 spot. And then the question with Texas, will they get a national seed? Our friends at D1 Softball do their field of projections. They had Texas just out of the national seeds as of 3 days ago, with Michigan the projected final seed there. But Mike White's team goes 2-1 here, plays Oklahoma State hard. Depending on results elsewhere, they could certainly host in Austin in the first round. That's ball 3 for Mary Iakopo, leading off against Missy Zoke here in the second.
Been impressed with Zoke's ability to find that strike zone early, using inning one to figure out what she can get away with on the corners. A little bit of an off speed there, low 50s.
She will throw just about any pitch in the book, Missy Zoke. And that one is hit to shortstop by Iakopo. Not fielded cleanly by Love, but she has enough time to get Iakopo at first.
Very close play.
I don't know.
I call that a bang play. Not bang bang. It's closer than that.
I actually have never heard that before.
Makes sense, huh?
Yeah. By an order of magnitude. Now this is Love. Sammy worked out to check on her after that bad hop.
Looks like there possibly is a bloody nose there of some sort. Very hard hit ball right off the chest. Not sure if it did hit the face there of Love at shortstop. You know, from that angle, it does look like the correct call. It does look like an out.
All right, while the Texas Tech staff takes a look at Love, here are some of the potential regional host sites. So the NCAA this year predetermined 20 host sites because they had to predetermine the host sites for COVID protocol rather than pick the host sites with just a week to go. You had to give the schools a heads up. So 16 of these 20 teams will end up hosting. Michigan, the only potential out of the Big Ten. Texas, OU, and Oklahoma State are the 3 possible host sites out of the Big 12. So again, those 20 will be narrowed down to 16 tomorrow. Mike White's team and the University of Texas did get the go-ahead to be a host site if they are selected. What do you think? Do you think Texas makes the cut, or does it all come down to this game today?
You know, I was actually just combing through the RPI projections on D1 softball, and they've got Texas at number 10. So depending on what happens today, could that move? We will see.
Good RPI, not great against the top 25 record-wise, but played a good schedule. And now Colleen Sullivan will bat after Love stayed in the game, made a couple of throws to first. Good to see her A-OK at short. Colleen Sullivan started her career at UCLA, all Pac-12 freshman team for the national champions 2 years ago. And Love gets another test, and this one is much cleaner for out number 2.
Well, the senior, Caitlin Washington, getting her start here, just the 25th start of the season. With the absence of Rhodes, she will find her way in the starting order.
Only senior in the starting lineup, and this one is off the glove of Zoke. A scorcher through the middle for Caitlin Washington, who wastes no time for a 2-out single.
I'm going to tell you right now, this is senior energy. This is what you're seeing. You're seeing an athlete that has wanted this moment, and she's nailing it. She's not letting the opportunity slip between her fingers. No matter the situation, injury or not, she finds her way into the starting 9. See Rhodes there hanging out in the dugout. Making the most of those opportunities. That's the name of the game this point in the season.
Go from the senior Washington now to the freshman J.J. Smith. One for 6 yesterday for Smith, doubled on a strikeout. Had reached base safely in all 15 of her starts before the Iowa State game last night. Still a tremendous year, 456 on base. Smith takes ball 2.
The 39th at bat with runners on. So this is not a team that has been swinging with bases empty. This is a team that's gotten runners on. It's just a matter of executing when it matters most. Timely
this
hitting.
Weekend we saw it, Aaron, against Oklahoma State yesterday. They were just 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position in that game.
Yeah, 11 for 38 when it comes to being successful with runners on. And Kevin, I bet if we've heard it once, we've heard it 100 times. Timely hitting, clutch hitting, clutchness, right? That word keeps coming up in all of our conversation, but that is postseason. Who can be clutch? Who can execute with 2 outs, 2 strikes, full count, whatever the situation? Who can step up and get the job done?
In a 3-2 loss to Oklahoma State yesterday, Texas left 12 on base. With a runner aboard here, Smith hooks it foul, and she'll see another 3-2.
I will say, when Texas faced OSU, you could definitely tell that there was a sense of aggressiveness. They were swinging early in counts. And here, already a full count, battling deep. Smith getting rid of pitches that she can't handle, but not willing to leave it up to an umpire. You got to love that battle at the plate. 8th pitch now for Smith.
And already a 5th 3-ball count. And another walk. So a big difference from that approach yesterday that we saw against Oklahoma State. Texas only walked once in 6 1/3 innings against Kelly Maxwell in that game, but they are waiting out Zoke, and the Longhorns put 2 on for the 9-hitter Corona.
Well, and back to Zoke, Kevin, we talked long and hard about that changeup, placing the changeup, not just flashing it, but hitting the spot with that speed, and we haven't seen much execution in that way.
There's a ground ball to second, and Zoke makes her pitch there. So Texas has stranded 3 more runners through the first 2. Tournament bubble. Iowa State RPI of 36, Baylor of 41. Might not necessarily be a loser leaves town game, but it has that kind of feel. Could be a big win for somebody heading into the NCAA tournament, potentially one of the last at-large bids. Abby Orrick, number 2 hitter, leads off in the 3rd, and Orrick hits Molly Jacobson's first pitch into right field. That keeps on carrying over the head of Smith. Orrick dashes to second, going for 3, and a leadoff triple for Abby Orrick. Got so excited in the celebration she slipped down, but it is 3 bases for Orrick, her first career triple.
Hard hit. You've got to love the approach that Texas Tech is taking. No stop here. No stop at all. Orrick round second base, straight in to 3rd. I'm not really sure the altercation here that happened at 3rd base, but it looked like they shook hands and we're all good after that.
Yeah, a little bit of a trip there from Corona, perhaps, but Orrick safely aboard. Her first 3 extra base hits of her career have come in the last 24 hours. 2 doubles yesterday and a triple today. So now Carly Hamilton. And a rare first pitch take for Texas Tech. They've been as aggressive as Texas was yesterday against OSU. 5 times now out of 12 batters, the Red Raiders have swung at the first pitch. Hamilton, a former All-American, swings through strike 1. Well, Sammy Ward's team was certainly the underdog coming into the tournament, not just by seed, but by really the state of this program. 3-15 this year. Sammy Ward got the job and really didn't get to town until around November. Got the job late after Adrian Gregory, the previous head coach, had resigned in September. There was an internal review of the team before Gregory's resignation. Sammy Ward's not had the time she's hoped she had or could have with this team. Hamilton, the plate. Hamilton home, beg your pardon. Orrick came to the plate late, and Texas just kind of fell asleep there, and they let Orrick come in from 3rd.
Totally agree with the aggressiveness with Orrick at 3rd base. What I'm not sure of is why there was no slide. You know, after she takes off, this is going to be a close play. And she goes into home plate standing up.
I don't know either. Is that the on-deck hitter's job to tell you to get down?
Good point. I also think that was just in the line of sight for Orrick running into home plate. She knows exactly where that ball is going to come from. She sees the play develop as she takes off to home. But you're absolutely correct. No communication from Westmoreland, who is on deck.
Well, it works out for an RBI for Hamilton on a little tapper. And now a ground ball to shortstop. Parker will throw out Westmoreland. 2 gone. What's the play that needs to be made there for Texas defensively? Is that a play that Jacobson has to make differently? Does she have to run back Orrick at 3rd?
Yeah, I definitely think you have to at least give a glance to that runner, especially because Orrick has quite a bit of speed. Man, to give up another insurance run just from an easy play, a routine play. We'll get one more chance to see it here, right off the end of the bat. Left-handed, right? So she's already open to that runner. Maybe just one more split second of seeing Auric back to the bag.
And obviously the gamble is you take a little extra time, maybe you don't get Hamilton at first, but these are the little plays. These are the small moments that have added up defensively for Texas. The cut throw not made. The throw to the wrong base and a ground ball. Mike White has talked about it. Defense, defense, defense. That has been the major Achilles heel for Texas all year long.
When you think back to their first loss against OSU, it came down to an errant throw. Should have been a strikeout against Alexander, and it ended up getting behind Rhodes, who was catching, and then an errant throw to first allowed Petty to score and in that ball game.
That is solidly struck, but right to short from Peyton Jackson. Final three in the inning retired, but Auric scores after a leadoff triple. 2-0 Tech. Year ever of softball. You have Oklahoma State coming up here, Wichita State, UCF in the American, and then Alabama, Florida, and the SEC to follow that. But congratulations to Clemson and to Duke.
Yes.
You and I, we've both seen Clemson this year. They are a force to be reckoned with, a team I would not want to face in the postseason. And folks, if you haven't seen Valerie Cagle, the two-way star for Clemson, get to a TV when they're playing.
She is a stud, both in the circle and at the plate. Yeah, very impressed with Clemson this year, especially since it's their first full season. Last year, 2020, was the first time they took the field, but obviously cut short due to COVID. Making some noise over there in the ACC.
And Duke with the win over Florida State yesterday to get to the title game. Upset win. Blue Devils scored 2 runs in the 7th, won 4-3. ACC has been ruled by Florida State. They've won the championship every year since 2014. That will not be the case this season. Janae Jefferson takes strike one from Missy Zoke. A lot of 3-ball counts now. That's 6 3-ball counts from Zoke, who has walked 2, yet to strike out a batter, but survived 2 scoreless. That's just off the plate, so a 3rd Texas walk. This one belongs to Jefferson, who has reached base both times.
To lead off with a walk, especially with the speed of Jefferson. Now you're facing the heart of the order. Just not an ideal start here in the bottom of the 3rd for Zoke.
And it looks like a little bit of a hitter-friendly strike zone right now. Close calls have primarily gone the hitter's ways. Ball 1 a little bit low for Parker. 24 balls, 20 strikes thrown by Zoke. Parker swings at this one, hits the Texas dugout for strike 1. Two youth league teammates, those two, Parker and Jefferson, back at about age 5. Jefferson out of Humboldt, Texas. Parker out of Conroe, Texas. This one sneaks through the right side. Base hit Parker, and Jefferson is aboard at second. Once again, runners on base for Texas. 2 on, nobody out in the 3rd.
So much of this part of the season comes down to momentum. Right now, a deficit of 2 runs for the Longhorns. And Burke, the junior, a big opportunity here. 2 on and no out for the lefty.
And Zook gets the call of a first pitch strike. 0 for 3 runners in scoring position today for Texas. Burt, coming off a 4-hit game in the opener yesterday, takes ball 1. One of 3 Oregon transfers that are a major part of this team. Iacopo and Rhodes as well, all of whom came over from Eugene with Mike White. And there's a lot of postseason experience on this team. It's just not necessarily at Austin because of the Oregon players. Sullivan, who won a national title at UCLA as well. And strike 3. Couple of off-speed pitches for Zook. A nasty drop to get Burke for her first strikeout.
An absolute filthy pitch from Zook, perfectly placed. Drop ball at the knees, and I think going to that inner corner against Burke is such a good call. Look at the reacts from Zook. Huge out.
Ellsworth lines it to second base, caught by Barrazo. So even when Texas hits it on a line, and that's Villa now into the game at second base, even when Texas hits it on a line, it seems like they find a glove.
A hard hit from Ellsworth, who's been red hot throughout this tournament.
By the way, Love is out at short. Barraza has gone to short. Villa into the game to play second. Wonder if that has to do with the ground ball that hit Love back in the second inning. She is out of the game right now for Tech. There's Barraza over at short. So 2 on, 2 out, Mary Iacopo.
Well, if you are in an RBI opportunity, especially with 2 outs, this is the athlete that Coach White, I think, would want up at the plate. You talk about postseason experience, Mary Iacopo right there.
High into left center, deep, but playable right in front of the temporary fencing for Hamilton. No warning track, but she knew just where she was, and Tech leads after 3.
One for me and one for me. Introducing buy one, get one for just $1 at Burger King. Grab a flame-grilled Whopper or Impossible Whopper and mix or match it with your favorites for an extra buck. Go ahead. You deserve it. Buy one, get one for $1. Your way, way better.
Why do they call it your funny bone? You ever hit it? It's not funny.
What if we made the first thing you want other drivers to notice unnoticeable until they turn on?
Question everything. We did. In the all-new Hyundai Tucson.
Oh, that's a low price.
Oh, that's a low price.
Oh, that is a low price.
What's a low price?
Oh, that's a low price.
Can you let me shop?
That's a low price.
I can get you a new one tomorrow.
At Amazon, anytime is a good time.
Final game today, the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State. Sooners have been flying high with 9 home runs yesterday in the 2 games, 4 of them from Kinsey Hansen, Lindsey Elam, Jocelyn Allo. Everybody, it seemed like, got in on the act. T.R.A. Jennings, Jada Coleman. 9 home runs in 2 games for Oklahoma, which is just smashing home run records across the nation. Kinsey Hansen, a phenomenal day. Again, back-to-back 2 home run games. Allison Febvre, the game-winning home run for Oklahoma State in their second game. They will meet for the 4th time, Aaron, in the span of 2 weekends.
Well, you're talking about 2 sides of the state here, merging to the home base of championship softball to battle it out for a tournament title. The emotions were high during that 3-game series last weekend.
Zoe Jones into center. Washington there. You obviously did just about everything in your career at Oklahoma, but there was no Big 12 championship when you played. So I'm curious if you have an idea of what this kind of environment is going to be like. To have Bedlam for the Big 12 tournament title is something that we've not seen in a long time. Ground ball first from Barraza to third, and 2 quick outs for Jacobson.
Well, you know, yesterday I got to drive up there because I only live probably about 25 minutes from the Hall of Fame field. So, Kev, we got off air, drove up to the Hall of Fame stadium, got to watch the evening games that Alex Loeb and Megan Willis, our colleagues, covered yesterday evening. And it just feels like an appetizer for the big meal, which is the Women's College World Series. You get a taste of what that championship electricity feels like. And that, to me, is the Big 12 Tournament Championship, where you're fighting for that championship, that conference championship, but you also are preparing for the bigger picture.
Well, Patty Gasso said last week, we are obviously very invested in this series. We're treating it, though, like it's a super regional on the road. And obviously Oklahoma will not have to go on the road for supers, but that was the mindset she took. Kenny Gajewski said, win or lose, we will get better out of this. And I'm guessing the thoughts are similar for those coaches coming into today. That being said, they'd very much like to win and hoist a trophy. That's a 5-pitch inning for Molly Jacobson.
Strong pitch for Zoke.
Sullivan whacks one. Center field, well struck. Hamilton back, and it's gone. Texas on the board, courtesy of a Colleen Sullivan home run, her 7th of the season.
So clutch. And think about the pitch sequence here. She sees the changeup low, fixes the timing, able to see that pitch deep. Take a look at where that pitch was. A good ball and a half off of the plate, but she's able to extend that barrel and go dead center field.
Is that what you would refer to as a good bad ball hit from Sullivan?
Absolutely. But I think mostly what that hit shows me is the adjustment pitch to pitch.
This is grounded to second from Washington, 1 away. Adjustment, you mean, from Sullivan, the first couple of pitches she saw to that one?
Right, she sees that low changeup, identifies the speed differential, and just decides, hey, I'm going to sit late. And seeing how far that ball was hit outside of the strike zone, there was definitely a shift in timing and ability to track that ball deep into the stance.
So Texas, which continues to struggle with runners in scoring position, now 0 for 6 in that category today, gets its first run with nobody on base on a Sullivan home run. 75th home run for Mike White's team this year. Is that the way you'd adjust if you were in the Texas dugout? Try to see the ball a little bit deeper right now against Zoke?
I think anytime you face a pitcher that has a pretty studly changeup, you've got to think up the middle opposite field. Anytime you're in a pull mindset, you're likely going to be early, and that changeup will be even more effective. And Colleen Sullivan nailing that game plan, being patient at the plate, really trusting that timing, trusting the in at-bat adjustments.
Smith swinging away on 3-0. That certainly would have been ball 4. And now Zoke is right back in this count. On the ground, it sneaks through. J.J. Smith will work her way on to first. A walk and a single for Texas's 8-hitter today.
Very nicely struck by J.J. Smith. Looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter in the 9-hole here.
It will be the other Washington, Alyssa. Big 12 all-freshman team in for Corona. Washington had a pinch hit RBI single against Iowa State in the second game yesterday. Double and 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter against Baylor the weekend before. Zook's going to get a visit here. Brittany Miller is the pitching coach for Texas Tech with a 2-0 count on the number 9 hitter Washington.
You know, Kevin, just combing through the statistics here for the Longhorn, looking at just games started, games played. Any athlete that has played over 20 games has hit at least 2 home runs. So there is power on this Texas team. There is sneaky pop within this Longhorn lineup. That just speaks to the depth that Coach White has. Reaching into the dugout for Alyssa Washington. 3 home runs on the year for her.
Standing only at 5'5", listed Alyssa Washington. She does not have the look of a traditional home run hitter, but this is a Texas lineup that features home run hitters no matter how tall they are. On 2-0 after the visit to the mound, Washington strokes one out to right field, and Jackson is there to make the catch. We've seen outfielders struggle this weekend, but Peyton Jackson has played a good right field today.
Texas Tech, last line of defense out there, making a case for just how athletic they are. Look at that, legging it out deep into left center field, right center field, excuse me, makes the grab. And Kevin, we've seen some issues with sun. We've seen some issues with finding the wall, lack of that warning track, lack of sunglasses at times, but not Texas Tech.
Jefferson to first, and Texas Tech is out of the inning. Longhorns get one back though on the home run from Colleen Sullivan, her 7th of the year. 2-1 Texas Tech with 3 innings to go in the 3rd place game. Phillips 66, Big 12 softball championship, the home of the Women's College World Series. We're under a month away from that, just a couple of weekends away from the WCWS. Texas would love to get back there for the first time since 2013. Right now, Texas would love a couple more runs. The 6th seed in the Big 12, Texas Tech, in its season finale, looking to win the 3rd place game. And they've got the lead. They've led just about from the jump. First inning run scored by Heaven Burton. Came around at a sacrifice fly from Peyton Jackson after Burton had reached on a bunt single. Abby Orrick a triple in the 3rd, scored on Carly Hamilton's ground out to the pitcher. It's a ground ball from Adriana Villa to shortstop. And another quick out for Molly Jacobson. Just 47 pitches for Jacobson through 4 1/3. Look at the strike to ball ratio, about 3/4 strikes to balls. She's thrown 12 balls to 18 batters.
Efficient work in the circle by Jacobson. And that efficiency is what's going to allow her offense a little bit of time and space to catch up with this one-run deficit.
Longest inning was the first. She threw 16 pitches in that one. Facing Heaven Burton. A question for Texas, Aaron. We talked about their defense and the struggles we've seen there, but pitching-wise, Shea O'Leary through yesterday, both starts, was terrific. How is Jacobson going to play as that?
Before I get a chance to cover Courtney Day, Coach White makes the call to pull her in, her 11th appearance. 34 innings, just behind Riley White, who's thrown 46 innings on the year. Likely a chance to get some postseason style innings, some repetitions here that are so key to carry them through postseason play.
And certainly there's no need competitively to take Jacobson out the way she was throwing, but regionals coming up, potentially super regionals after that. This has got to be the reason Mike White's making this move. An eye on the future, knowing he may need innings from Day, from Riley White potentially, if Texas wants to move on and win with these compressed schedules, particularly in the regional round of the postseason.
Talk about making first impression, a first strike changeup. Beautifully, beautifully executed.
And now a ground ball through from Abby Orrick. Orrick will hold at first. She's 2 for 3, tripled and a single. Having a heck of a weekend, the freshman for the Red Raiders. Four for 10 in the tournament for Abby Orrick, who came into the tournament with just 4 hits on the season. Again, Sammy Ward wanted to get her younger players some experience. This is the 6th-year senior Hamilton to take ball 1. One of the great careers at Texas Tech going to come to an end today. 6 years in college for Carly Hamilton. Began her career way back in 2016, did not play in 2017. Today is her 234th Texas Tech game, 214 start. All-time Texas Tech leader in triples with 15, 5th in home runs with 31. 2 years ago, the 4th All-American in Tech history, hit .398, 8 triples, 8 homers. And even though this hasn't been a great season for Tech, Aaron, so happy the NCAA granted players that extra year of eligibility after last year. And
yes.
Carly Hamilton gets to add on to her historic numbers in year number 6. Runners going. Orrick on the move, and the throw sails into center field from Ellsworth. Orrick will take third as Texas's defense once again lets down the Longhorns, this time to the tune of 2 bases.
Well, keep in mind, Ellsworth behind the plate. We normally see Rhodes back there, but due to the injury, Ellsworth comes up with a huge throw, comes all the way up out of her squat to make this throw down to second, and it's Aaron into center field. That will be an E2.
Now Hamilton, a ground ball through the box, and Texas Tech gets the run right back. 1 pitch after the stolen base and the throwing error. Carly Hamilton drives in Abby Orrick, and it's 3-1 Red Raiders.
Look at this location, low and away. That ball likely would have fallen off the table under the knee, but she's able to go down there, fish for it, smack it right back past Courtney Day in the circle.
Two more RBIs to tack on to the career total of Carly Hamilton. Now 155 in 5 years of playing at Texas Tech. Out of Cinco Ranch High School, the Houston, Texas native. Going to get a visit here from Ellsworth. Again, this all started with 2 outs, nobody on after Jacobson was removed for Courtney Day. Likely just to get Day some extra experience going into the regionals. A single from Orrick on an 0-1 pitch, a stolen base, a throwing error attached from Ellsworth. And Hamilton's second RBI of the day on a single up the box. And Texas Tech, the number 6 seed, It's 9 outs away from going 2-1 here at the Big 12 tournament. That one pops out of the glove of Ellsworth. That was just a swing and a miss, and Hamilton will take second.
Ellsworth with another tough break back there. Giving up an extra 60 feet.
That'll be a pass ball against Ellsworth, so a tough inning for her.
We've got to give it up to the Red Raiders here, able to make adjustments quickly with Courtney Day stepping into the circle. A lot of aggressiveness. I feel like they've done a nice job of identifying pitches within the zone that they can handle. One of my favorite things in hitting is that, you know, the textbook strike zone isn't necessarily your strike zone. I always defined my strike zone as what I could hit a double with. Loved hitting rise balls. Anything up shoulder high necessarily wasn't a textbook strike, but it's something that I could handle. And I think Texas Tech has done a good job of identifying pitches that they can handle. That pitch that Hamilton hit almost below the knees.
How long does it take you to figure out your personal strike zone compared to the actual strike zone?
Trial and error, and just confidence in what you can attack. It takes an aggressive mindset, an aggressive hitter up there to not be scared to swing at something outside of a textbook strike zone.
Well, that pitch was in nobody's strike zone to Westmoreland, maybe to Vlad Guerrero's. It's the first walk for Texas Tech in the game, and 3 in a row have reached against Courtney Day. I'm wondering about that home run swing from Sullivan, too, to the point you're making about what you feel like you can hit a double on, because that pitch was not in the strike zone to Colleen Sullivan in the 4th inning, and yet she put as confident a swing on as possible.
Yeah,
well, Molly Jacobson is back in the game, by the way. She's re-entered in the circle, Aaron.
And they're going to get tested here. How quickly can they shift that mindset back to the lefty Jacobson, who they saw start this ball game?
You think this was planned for Mike White? He wanted Jacobson in at some point, or is this simply to rescue the inning in the 5th?
I think this is probably a rescue effort here. Not exactly how he envisioned Courtney Day unfolding in the circle. Riley White warming up in the bullpen. Just based on innings, Kevin, Riley White is the 3-string. She is behind Jacobson and O'Leary as far as innings thrown, with 46 innings on the year.
And again, you think Mike White would like to get her some work. There she is. But Jacobson now is reinserted into the game to face a lefty in Jackson. And we got to get a new set of signals here for Ellsworth. So Jackson, the number 5 hitter, takes ball 1 from Jacobson. Re-entered into the game. Day came in with 2 out, nobody on. Single, stolen base error, RBI single, passed ball, walk. 2 on, 2 out, and a 2-run Tech lead. And strike 1, Jacobson over to Jackson. Texas Tech was swept by Texas this year. This would be some way to capitalize their season. Red Raiders are not going to the NCAA tournament, so there are no stakes here for Texas Tech because their season's over either way.
Look at this location, right at the letters. You said it, Kevin.
In your strike zone, Aaron.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that. That's like wheelhouse in my personal strike zone. But you mentioned this earlier. This has been more of a hitter's strike zone.
Yep.
Not a lot getting called as far as borderline pitches. That one just there from the hand of Molly Jacobson against Jackson, to me, a strike.
Jackson fair down the right field line into the corner. Hamilton is home. Westmoreland around third. Jackson going into third. A 2-run triple for Texas Tech. It is 5-1 Red Raiders. Well, now hang on a second. We are not there. This is going to be called a foul ball. The runners are returning to their bases. So the play was initially let go, but now we're getting a foul ball called.
Let's get a look ourselves. So the discrepancy here is where the ball crosses first base. It hits in fair territory, and in my eyes, Kevin, not the right call there. Bounces right there in fair territory, crosses virtually directly over the white line.
That is on the line past the bag.
Tough break for Jackson.
And again, there's no replay here. Can't go back and look at that.
Think about the shift of the dynamic here. Would have absolutely opened the floodgates here for Texas Tech. 2 more insurance run instead of a 3-1 ball game. Now would have been a 5-1 lead with a runner at third base.
That was the first base umpire, Leah Bowman-Daum. And verified by Kaylee Young at home plate. A 2-run triple negated for Jackson. A 5-1 lead taken off the board. And Jackson in a 3-2 count. And she will muscle this one to left field, and it may not matter. Over the head of Burke. Hamilton scores again. Westmoreland's coming home. She will score. It is 5-1. That one was fair, and everybody knows it. A 2-run double for Peyton Jackson.
And in comparison, the only loss is 60 feet. Instead of the 2-bar RBI triple, she will take the 2 RBI double instead. Check the emotion from Hamilton. A huge at-bat for Jackson, and it all happens with 2 outs.
Her second double of the year, 3rd extra base hit. 3 RBIs in the game, and look, that's the kind of swing from Peyton Jackson, who is a sophomore, that Texas Tech fans may remember down the line. You may remember this at bat in a couple of years if Sammy Ward gets this program to where she wants to be, to shake off what looked like a 2-run triple down the line. Now this one fisted towards center, and Jefferson, the second baseman, will make the catch on the regional hosting hopes hanging in the balance. And the at-bat of the game comes from Peyton Jackson, who looked like she had a 2-run triple down the right field line. It was called back as a foul ball. It looked like it went over the bag in fair territory. She comes back a couple of pitches later and doubles to left field. So here's Texas with 2-3-4. And Mackenzie Parker to lead it off and take ball 1 from Missy Zook. Longhorns have left 6 on base today. Last inning, the first time in the span of 7 innings, they did not have a runner in scoring position. And of course, they finally scored, got a solo home run from Sullivan. They have had base runners all day long, but not been able to deliver. Parker has been a base runner twice, walk in the first, single in the third. And 2-1 here for Mackenzie. It's ball 3.
Zoe continuing to challenge the river. She has done it for 5 innings now. Inching her way outside of the white of that strike zone, figuring out what Texas will chase.
And a leadoff single here. She went back inside to Parker, and McKenzie is on base for the 3rd time. Mike White, we had a chance to talk to this week. He said, look, I came from a program that was a top 8 program, a consistent winner at Oregon. A lot of hard work in getting things started here. You want to be a top 10 program, but are you willing to do what it takes to be a winner? Has tried to figure out the mix of culture, bringing in players and people from Oregon with the existing players at Texas. He said normally it's about 4 or 5 years out before you get your own top recruits, because when he got here, some of the top recruits are gone, but he feels like this program is in the best shape it's been in his 3 years. Question now is, can they use the experience from players like Burt coming over from Oregon? Can they find what they've been missing in these big spots?
You're right on track there. I think it gives perspective to some of the newness and the growth within the Big 12. Coach White still establishing some growth here at Texas. Coach Gajewski experiencing quite a bit of success at Oklahoma State now after he stepped in 2016. Newness right here with Texas Tech, a 5-1 lead against a very good Longhorn team. Iowa State putting up a fight yesterday. But there's a lot to look forward to here within the Big 12.
It's not one of the deeper leagues in the country, but there's the potential to be that. You saw Sammy Ward, who was a 3-time West Coast Conference Coach of the Year at Loyola Marymount. Glenn Moore's Baylor program should be better next year. And how about Texas Tech? The program is seemingly on the rise. This was a program in a difficult place. Mentioned it earlier. Adrian Gregory resigned in September. There were reports of strife within the program. There was an internal review of the team. Sammy Ward took over in November, brought over her husband Randy Ward, associate head coach from LMU as well. Burke with a ground ball foul, still 2-2. Brittany Miller, the pitching coach after 4 years at Iowa State. And this has been a weekend of transition, mixing seniors with some little used freshmen and sophomores. Players like Jackson only making her 8th start of the year and delivering the biggest hit of the game. That is a cold strike 3. Burke is rung up. Kept searching for that river, Aaron, and Zoe dots the I in the corner.
Second strikeout for Lauren Burke. This one a screwball on the outer half. You can't think of a better strikeout pitch against a lefty like Lauren Burke. Inching away, climbing that ladder away from Lauren was perfectly placed by Zoke.
Both of her strikeouts have come against Burke, as Ellsworth apparently did go through. Strike 1 to start Taylor Ellsworth. Missy Zoke, 12 innings in 2 starts against Texas this year, allowed 6 earned runs. 4 1/3, 1 run today.
When you think about what's taking place here in this game, how does it shake out when you think about the big picture? Would be a very key win to make a case for Texas Tech come postseason and seeding. When you look at Texas and where they shake out to be, how does that possibly affect RPI with the 3 wins that Oklahoma had at Austin?
They are 10th Texas in the RPI coming into today. But again, not guaranteed a hosting site. They're only 3-10 against the top 25. But they have not lost to an unranked team this year. 35-0 against unranked opponents. Actually 36-0, I should say, after yesterday, the win over Iowa State. So 3-10 against ranked teams with a loss yesterday. 36-0 against unranked. Texas Tech unranked and in the lead. 2-2 to Ellsworth. And there's a lot more to the resume. 1 game, 1 loss is just 1 data point. But one of the data points for the selection committee is, how are you playing to end the season? Ellsworth on 2-2 fouls it off.
You definitely have to pay attention to what's on the line here. As you just made a really good point about the things that the NCAA is looking at as they're seeding teams into this postseason tournament. How do you play in your conference championship? What are you playing when the end is in sight? How do you show up on the field?
Going to be a 7th pitch here to Taylor Ellsworth from Missy Zook. Way high. Tenth 3-ball count in 22 batters. She's only walked 3 though. On 3-2 here. Ellsworth swings away and rips another one foul.
Make that the 9th foul ball between her and Burke.
How is Zook surviving with all these 3-ball counts?
It's competitive placement. You're watching a Texas team chase things just a little bit outside of their zone. Again, I'm not talking about textbook strike zone. I'm talking about what Texas can handle.
Ellsworth reached for a pitch outside there, send it into center field, and Hamilton is there to track it down. Great play by Carly Hamilton into dead center field.
Texas Tech outfield came to fight. Zook loves it. Infield loves it, and I know that this outfield defensive athletic ability is going to take them deep as the years unfold. New coaching staff, new approach, new culture. But when you've got that type of effort, last line of defense, postseason, last game of the Big 12 tournament here, between 2 very good Texas teams, and the outfield is flexing. It's got to feel good for Zook, right? Who's pitching her heart out in the circle. But when you've got an outfield giving every ounce of effort to keep the ball off the fence, it's huge. It's big time.
1-1 for Mary Iacopo. We talked a lot yesterday, Aaron, about the temporary fencing, the lack of a warning track in the outfield. And it seems to me like Texas Tech has adjusted better to that than any other team in this tournament.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hasn't even fazed them.
Oh, Iacopo has been absolutely befuddled by 2 slow ones from Zook.
This is the changeup. We talked about this when we opened this game, Kevin, how important the off speed is to Zook's ability to command an offense.
She'll throw it again on 2-2. Iacopo gets a piece this time, and she stays alive. And now a conversation with her head coach, Mike White.
I imagine this conversation is about Iacopo just calming down. You're talking about an athlete here that has 15 home runs. likely wanting the long ball, right? She is looking to be the hero in this instance. And I think Coach White right here is saying, hey, you've swung through an off speed. You've got a 2-2 count. Keep it within yourself. Deep breath, calm down. Do what you know how to do.
There's the battery of Leach and Zook that has fooled her today. Iacopo, the Texas home run leader, slugging leader, takes one in the dirt. Another full count. The 11th 3-ball count to 23 hitters for Zook, who has pitched her heart out. This one will be pitch number 100 on 3-2. And Iacopo swings through it. Strike 3, and Zook is out of the 5th with a couple of big-time strikeouts. Texas Tech in the... Kevin Brown, Aaron Miller back with you. Texas Tech from Oklahoma City. And look, this is the 3rd place game of the tournament. Not the main event, obviously, but an important game for Texas. Not just potentially to try to avoid a bad loss, as they're one of the last teams that might be a regional host. Momentum-wise, Aaron, this would be a pretty sour feeling to go into the postseason on if they fall here to a game Texas Tech team.
Yeah, this is a statement game. We talked about this earlier when we opened this matchup. This is one more shot for both of these Texas squads to send the NCAA committee a message. Where do you seed us in the postseason tournament? Right now, we have seen Texas Tech make a massive statement. Zook in the circle, looking sharp against a very tough Longhorn lineup.
Molly Jacobson back in the circle for Texas. She's 2-0 on Alana Barraza. 7-8-9 for Texas Tech here in the 6th inning. 3-run 5th inning for the Red Raiders has put them in control of this game, but they've led from the 1st inning on. Wide of 3rd, strike 2. Five runs, 6 hits for Texas Tech. Only 1 walk. This one to 3rd, and Washington 1 away.
And I think another question that you and I had, Kevin, was just the exposure of the rest of Texas's pitching staff. We saw a little bit of Courtney Day, who had to get relieved mid-inning from the starter Jacobson, who's now still throwing. But when you look at the depth of staff for the Longhorns, we haven't seen Riley White. 46 innings on the year. Haven't seen Ariana Adams. 25 innings on the year. And I think these are arms that Texas is going to have to use as they enter into regionals and potentially supers.
How many pitchers do you think you need to make the World Series right now? I know the game's changed a little bit. The days of just riding one arm are by and large over. Now, Washington's going to ride Gabby Plain as far as she can go. Virginia Tech, if they make a run, Keely Rochard, etc. But generally speaking, if you don't have that one top 5 pitcher in the country, how many arms do you need on a staff to get that far?
If you would have asked me this 4 years ago, I would have had a different answer, because I think we are entering into the era of the hitter. Right? We're seeing unreal offensive numbers this year. In my eyes, You've got to have two very complementary arms that are able to start, are able to close, multifaceted arms. Is it great to have a third? Heck yes. It's great to have a reliever. It's great to have a specialist that maybe complements one or both of your aces, of your 1-2 punch.
There's a base hit for Leach. The senior catcher, 1 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt out of the 8th spot.
But to your point, it takes a full staff effort. You're seeing teams really having to piece things together, be strategic with who gets the ball first. When you think of a tournament like this where it's championship style play, you've got an idea of the road ahead. You need more than one confident arm in the circle.
And Vaughn Whaley's going to pinch run for Texas Tech. Thinking ahead to our championship game, Oklahoma with G. Juarez, Nicole May, Shannon Sale, trying to figure out the best placement of those 3 arms. Oklahoma State with Carrie Eberly and Kelly Maxwell. Certainly a complementary duo, right-left.
You know, we got to see Maxwell against Texas in game 1 yesterday. Very impressive left-handed arm, very crafty left-handed arm. See a lot of similarities in Jacobson.
Aaron of Shea O'Leary.
A lot of adjustments. I think when you look at her work throughout the game as the innings unfolded, you're facing some tough offenses throughout this Big 12 tournament. You have to make in-game adjustments. You have to change little tweaks to your game plan, and she was able to do that. When you look at what Texas has done this tournament, they've played in tough games. Like that OSU loss was a heartbreaker with the way that game unfolded in extra innings. So important that these pitchers are able to keep an even level head, even mindset.
Oh, and O'Leary with a bobble there was able to get rid of it just in time to get Villa speeding down the first base line for the second out. Eight and 2/3 innings in that Oklahoma State game. 9 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, walked 1, struck out 4. The last strikeout was one that should have sent the game to the 10th. Third strike dropped by Mary Iacopo, who then threw wildly to first. Carly Petty came all the way around from first base to score the game winner. A walk-off win on a throwing error from Iacopo. Oklahoma State won that game. They would come back to beat Iowa State in the 7th. They are in the championship game, 3 Central today against Oklahoma. Kevin Burton, leadoff hitter. Strike 1.
Leary's got 100 strikeouts on the year, giving up 13 home runs. So she will keep the ball.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
She keeps the ball in the strike zone. I just think that these are the adjustments that have been made over the years with Shea O'Leary, getting to talk to Coach White early in this season, covering some of the early Texas games, just talking about the importance of the off season for Shea. Making some adjustments to the grip, hiding the ball, making sure that those pitches are protected and nothing is getting tipped off. Even made some adjustments to the windup.
Third-year player out of California, O'Leary, who will stay in a 1-2 count. National Freshman Pitcher of the Year 2 years ago, led the NCAA .65 ERA. Trying to finish off Burton. And Burton is making that a pretty difficult assignment. One of the things Mike White talked to us about with O'Leary was how she's grown with her off speed. He said she had a back foot floater that was just too slow to fool the best hitters at this level. So they've worked on that change of speeds with her. And this time she goes hard and down to get Burton swinging. 5-1 Texas Tech.
Look at these catches. Not one, not two, not even three, but four. Unbelievable outfield grabs. Look at that over the head of Hamilton. A lot of pitcher love there for their outies. That last line of defense doing work.
Carly Hamilton playing her final game of her 6 years at Texas Tech, and center Peyton Jackson at the start of what could be a great career in right field. And a 5-1 lead for Texas Tech. Colleen Sullivan will start it in the 6th. The only run provided on a solo home run from Sullivan her last time up. Missy Zoke, 102 pitches now for Texas Tech. She has allowed a base runner in every inning. She has allowed a hit in every inning. She has walked 3. She has been in 3-ball count after 3-ball count, but she's worked through it with only 1 run permitted. Oklahoma State and Oregon, a reminder, 4 Eastern for the Big 12 Softball Championship, 3 Central on ESPN2. OU, a winner in last weekend's Bedlam Series, won 2 out of 3 after Oklahoma State took game 1 on Friday. Sooners roared back to win the next 2. One of the best series, period, in college softball this year. So if we get anything resembling a taste of that series from Stillwater last weekend, folks, we are in for a treat in a couple of hours. It's like a house divided right there. 3-1 hitter. Sullivan aboard. Another leadoff runner on for Texas. 5th time in 6 innings. Texas has had the leadoff runner on, and we'll see if they can finally do something with it. Mike White's going to make a substitution of some kind. Will be a pinch runner for Sullivan. This is Carly Ratcliffe. This is the lone senior in the lineup, Caitlin Washington. First ball she's seen after a first pitch single in the 2nd. Second pitch ground out in the 4th. Tied Jody Reeves last weekend for the all-time doubles record at UT. 48 in her career. And Washington is ahead in the count, 2-0. That is foul.
Well, we have framed up this opportunity for Washington. The lone senior in the starting 9. The injury of Rhodes behind the plate allows way for Caitlin Washington to make her mark here in their final game of the Big 12 Championship.
Oh, that was close. There's Rhodes, who's unavailable to start today. Obviously not in the lineup. She is available if needed off the bench as a pinch hitter. 3-1 is hit foul, and we might be venturing deep into if needed territory with 6 outs to go and a 4-run deficit for Texas. Ratcliffe, the pinch runner at first. 3-2 for Washington is high and away. Ball 4. 2 on, nobody out. And another Texas rally is in the works.
Well, what has been such a clean game for Zoke in the circle. 2 free passes. almost a 50-50 split on balls and strikes, but she's been effective holding Longhorns to only 1 run.
This is where, obviously, Zook can hurt herself. The stuff is great. We've seen her be able to move all over the plate, but 93 walks in 119 innings coming into the game. 4 walks now today, 112 pitches. Texas showing a little bit more patience here in the 6th. Smith takes ball 2. I mean, 2 base runners an inning, and yet only 1 run allowed. Texas still hitless in the game with runners in scoring position. Oh for 6 runners in scoring position, 1 for 12 with runners on. Smith takes up and in. 3-0 now to J.J. Smith. Aaron Edmondson, who has really flashed in this tournament, gets ready for Texas Tech.
She looked so good yesterday.
Smith swinging away again on 3-0, and she pops it up to center. The pinch runner, Ratcliffe, will tag up and go to third, but a huge out for Zook, who gets a pop-up on a 3-0 pitch after a hit batter and a walk.
Well, I think the thing that makes that decision to swing with 3-0 more of a head scratcher is the fact that there was a walk right before her, a hit by pitch right before that. So Zook struggling to find that strike zone, and a 3-0 count, to me, a no-brainer. Keep the bat on the shoulder, take your chances, make her continue to throw more pitches, continue to labor. She's 115 pitches in through the bottom of the 6th.
That's the second time Smith has swung on 3-0-2. She missed in the last at-bat and ended up singling on 3-2. Not the case here. Now Alyssa Washington, and Zook drops in strike 1. So 0 for 7 now with runners in scoring position for Texas in the game. 6 for 28 on the weekend. Left 12 on base through 9 innings against OSU yesterday. Washington chases strike 2, and Zook is ahead in the count. This time Washington gets a piece on the ground to short 1. The turn to first. Oh, double play. Texas Tech has wriggled free again.
Well, the Texas Tech defense continuing to show why they deserve to be in this title game. We were witnessing just between innings a lot of words exchanged. Fingers pointing, emotions high.
I don't know what this is about, Aaron, and we're racking our brains here to figure it out. The last play of the inning looked like a routine double play. I mean, what do you think? I'm not sure what Mike White could be so heated over here.
Not sure if it was something about the slide into second base, something about protecting the fielders of Texas Tech out there, what the accusation was. But something got Coach Mike White out of his element.
Again, we're doing our best to keep you all updated from home. Our crew is going back, taking a look at the video of that double play. We're just not sure right now. Obviously, this has been a weekend of frustration for Texas with all of the runners left on base, all of the lost opportunities, and maybe some frustration has boiled over for Mike White. Abby Orrick with her 3rd hit of the game, and a 3 for 4 day for Orrick here in the 7th. Okay, so watch the second baseman Villa. No, foot's on the base, I think. Again, he was yelling at the second base umpire. It's a close play at first.
Very close play at first.
Oh, maybe that's it. Again, why was he barking at the second base umpire? That's the question. But yeah, that was a closer play at first than at least it looked to me. That's a bang-bang play. Maybe that's what fired up Mike White. But again, he was barking at the second base umpire, Danny Bowman. Again, it's a day of frustration. It's a game of frustration for Texas. This is an uber talented team. Carly Hamilton in the air to left field, and Burke makes the play, shielding her eyes from the sun for out number 1. I'm not trying to disrespect Texas Tech at all when I say this, Aaron, but Texas is a more talented team. They have transfers from Oregon and UCLA. They have top recruits. They are the higher seed. They are the better team. They swept Texas Tech. You're a Texas fan, you're thinking, we should win this game. And Texas Tech has showed up, played harder, played smarter. Although Westmoreland pops up a bunt there. And yeah, I mean, I get why, regardless of that play, Mike White's got to be frustrated with what he's seen on the field.
Hey, and listen, I think there's probably a good reason why he got elevated there in his emotions and the theatrics, but could there be an angle here that him getting tossed fires up this team for their last round of 3 outs? I could make a case for that. They're at the top of their order. One of their best athletes, Janae Jefferson, leading off in the bottom of the 7th. I mean, if no other way than getting yourself thrown out to fire up your squad, why not?
Maybe that's what it takes for this team, which is, again, gone limply through these opportunities with runners in scoring position. 0 for 8 now in those spots. O'Leary working on Jackson in ball 1. Texas Tech, though, 3 outs away from a significant win after being swept by Texas during the regular season. One of those games was a 10-1 run rule loss. They only scored 2 runs in the 3 games. And Texas is going to make a substitution here. It appears so the 1-2 counts. Mike White is out. Obviously, Megan Bartlett, assistant coach for Texas, who is to be making the changes. Yeah, I think maybe that was just a clarification of the lineup card. Texas didn't actually make a change here, we think. Just something clerical, perhaps. Get the lineup notarized. On the ground to O'Leary, and we'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Top of the order for Texas. Longhorns need 4 runs. Red Raiders need 3 outs.
Made some noise in the circle for Texas Tech. Has kept her game totally in check. Look at that off speed, the screwball, the drop, everything perfectly placed. I'm not sure she could have had a better outing against a very tough Texas lineup.
She is our Phillips 66 player of the game. She does have 3 outs left to get. And they're going to be tough. Janae Jefferson, Mackenzie Parker, and Lauren Burke. 1, 2, 3 in the Texas order. Zoke probably a little bit sore. Throwing a lot of pitches this weekend. 6 1/3 innings against Baylor yesterday. Allowed 8 hits, walked 6, gave up 6 earned runs. And she ran into some major trouble in the 7th inning in that game. Jefferson starts, and Zoke starts her with strike 1. Only the 13th first pitch strike out of 28 batters, but an important one against the All-American Jefferson. Again, no Mike White. He's been ejected for Texas. Megan Bartlett will coach third in his stead. 2-1 to Janae. Texas undefeated against unranked teams this year, 36-0. That is a called strike 2 to Janae Jefferson on pitch number 123.
Perfectly placed. We've seen that sequence. Screwball in the outer half, drop ball below the hands. Saw Lauren Burke swing through one of those.
Where are you looking here if you're Jefferson?
Probably looking screwball out, low and out.
Walk is as good as a home run here. Might as well throw her a strike. And she does. And Jefferson grounds it to first. And Jones is there for out number 1. Texas Tech had to win on the last day of the regular season just to get here. They beat Iowa State 3-2 in their final game for their third Big 12 win. Finished a half game ahead of Kansas, and only the top 6 teams made it to the Big 12 tournament. Kansas sat at home, and Texas Tech is here. They beat KU 2 out of 3, and the win over Iowa State enough to get them into the field. Against ranked teams this year, they have struggled mightily. They were swept by Oklahoma State, a combined 23-5. Swept by Oklahoma, a combined 40-0 in 3 games. This is a ground ball through from Mackenzie Parker. A 1-out single for Texas in the last of the 7th. Parker 3 for 3 with a walk.
The consistency for Parker, showing up strong here when it matters most. Hopefully Coach White looking on as he sees Parker set the table here.
And a ground ball foul from Lauren Burke. Parker has taken all of the Lauren Burke energy from yesterday. Burke had a 4-hit game against OSU. 0 for 3 today, 2 strikeouts. Pitch number 130 is just outside for ball 1.
Texas still fighting. And this is all fuel, right? When you see your coach fighting for you. Just last inning, he's not able to stand over there in that third base coaching box. Fighting for what's right, showing that emotion. You've got to imagine that that fight now bleeds over into the bottom of the 7th here offensively for the Longhorns.
Need to put 2 more runners on base to have a shot to tie it. Pitch number 132, the senior Zoke, and she gets Burke swinging. 3rd strikeout of Burke, and Tech is 1 out away.
It has been the pitch sequence against Burke that has really shined bright. The 3rd strikeout against Lauren. All quadrants, both sides of the strike zone. The off speed working low right at the knees. Perfectly placed.
And this is it for Missy Zoke. The senior began her career at DePaul. The graduate student here at Texas Tech who decided to use that extra year of eligibility to come back and pitch for the Red Raiders. against Taylor Ellsworth. Had a game this year, Zoke, where she threw 196 pitches in 8 innings against Kansas. She walked 9, struck out 16 in that game. So when you can throw 196, 135 is easy breezy.
Ellsworth has had a heck of a tournament. She was the clutch factor against OSU in game 1.
Just need to get on base anyway here. Again, if you're Zoke, a walk is about the last thing you want to do. Might as well just give up a home run. Either way, Texas needs base runners. Just don't make them free. And Ellsworth will foul away. Strike 2, just out of the reach of Warwick from third. And Missy Zoke may have 1 strike left in her fabulous career. 2-time first-team All-Big East at DePaul. The Texas native out of Winchester. Back home, throwing for Texas Tech. And looking to close her career strong with an improbable 3rd-place finish in the Big 12 championship. Ellsworth, the ground ball to the right side. Ellsworth is safe at first. Villa will hang on to it as Parker goes first to third. And Texas will bring the tying run to the on-deck circle, Aaron.
It's still alive, right? The Texas fight is still there. Look at the all-out effort from Ellsworth, legging this out, a diving effort into first base. And you can see Zoke getting frustrated there with just not enough communication to snag that out at first. So momentum now in that Texas dugout. If there's a pitch left, if there's an out left, there is still fight alive.
Well, we saw Edmondson warming up in the Texas Tech bullpen earlier. She's not throwing now. Doesn't mean she isn't available. She may just be warmed up and ready to go if needed, but Sammy Ward is not going to make that call now. She's going to leave in Zoke, 138 pitches deep, to try to finish this thing out.
And again, I think you look back at, in this opportunity, you're fighting. You're fighting for something, whether that is for your tournament title, whether that's to send a statement to the NCAA, whether it's to have your head coaches back, who just got tossed out of the game an inning before.
Mary Iacopo. Texas is 0 for 8 in the game with runners in scoring position. That's one trend they need to reverse. Iacopo was 0 for 10 in the tournament. Another trend to reverse. If she can reach, Colleen Sullivan, the home run hitter from earlier, would represent the tying run. On pitch number 140, Iacopo takes outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Texas's best power hitter on the year. Sullivan hoping to get a chance. That is a called strike in the inside corner, and once again, Zoke is 1 strike away. A Texas Tech team that went just 19-25 in the regular season, 3-15 in the Big 12. On the ground left side, the third baseman over to first, and Oryx throws there. What a way to end your career, Missy Zoke. Texas Tech stuns Texas with a 5-1 win in the Big 12 third place game. And now the waiting game begins for the Longhorns, who have seen their regional hosting bid hopes take a major dent here in Oklahoma City.
Look at the tears, the emotion, the happiness from Zoke as she hugs her teammates. You even see some emotions in the stands from the parents. What a way to exit conference play for this Red Ryder team.
When we think about, Aaron, everything these players have been through the last 2 years. The season cut short last year due to COVID-19. The Texas Tech team that had to replace its head coach after this year. A tough Big 12 season this year, but whenever these dividends are going to show up, whenever they're going to be paid off, this is a Texas Tech program that showed you its bright future today and sent out its seniors with one heck of a curtain call.
Couldn't agree more, and it came from the leadership of Zoke in the circle, setting the tone as she got the start for this game.
A complete game for her. Hey, Carly Hamilton, the 6th-year senior with 2 RBIs in her final games. Heaven Burton, Kelsey Leach, Aaron Edmondson, Maddie Westmoreland, the seniors. Great way to end their senior seasons. Texas Tech a 5-1 winner in the 3rd place game. Don't forget, 3 o'clock Central on ESPN2. We'll have the Big 12 championship here in Oklahoma City.